I have questions for Joe.
Uh-oh, run now.
So we've been running Joe's column now at the lead for the last. This will be the fourth one, so I owe you some money. The right camera on you. How's everybody doing over there at the shop? Everyone doing good?
They are busy.
Are they? Mm-hmm. They should be busy, right? That's what you like, is to have them to be busy and doing stuff, right?
We only have about 1,000 deadlines to meet. We're good.
Right. Okay. Let me just find a couple of these photos. So this week's column is about, and this is one that I personally have through the years collected these myself. Is postcards, historic postcards, and so frequently they were a big part of people would be for sale in every community in America, basically, right? I mean, that's how big is your postcard collection? It was everyday life stuff too. They had.
I probably have 1,000.
1,000 postcards.
Maybe 1,500.
Right. Okay. Here's the first photo.
They're all to me.
They're all to you. Yeah, they're all to you. They're
from the past.
Right. Yes. Here's our first one, Joe. This one is mislabeled.
Yes, indeed.
It is a football game, but no, it's really basketball. But where was this at? This is amazing. This stadium that they had here. This is the fairgrounds, I guess, right?
Correct. That's the West Texas Fairgrounds.
Okay.
Which was between Guadalupe Street and Junction Highway.
Okay.
About where the Wells Fargo, or the former Wells Fargo building is, to Guadalupe Street.
Yeah.
And they had a big fair every year. And back then, they considered us in West Texas.
I was going to say.
Because it was very sparsely populated.
That's amazing. Here's a little bit of a tighter. I'm trying to get a little tighter into this to see. It looks like an oval football. I mean, it looks like a football almost.
It does.
But there's basketball hoops, which, there would have been basketball being played.
It was probably an exhibition game.
Yeah.
It says 1907 on the cards, so possibly it was 1906 or 1907.
Right.
But basketball was invented in the 1880s. It was popular in Texas around the turn of the last century.
Yeah.
It's just also possible that no one here had ever seen a game being played.
Right. Yeah, I have historically done stuff before on other communities, and basketball was really kind of taken off. Because football was had a bad reputation for a while there in the turn of the century. Actually Roosevelt TR kind of banned it for a bit because they had so many fatalities attached to it.
The Far East, it was a fatal game.
Yeah.
Football didn't get here until about this time, 1908, 1910. One of the first teams only scored once. That's when the ball bounced off someone's helmet and happened to go.
Right.
And that story was told by Gene Butt, who was Howard Butt's older brother.
But I always tell people too, even grew up in California, that if you think about the crowds that came to those games proportionally to this in those days, you would be talking about either half of a community or more than half of a community would go to a football game, which means if that trend had continued past World War II, we didn't have the distraction of TV. You're talking about high school football games would attract 25,000, 30,000 people without any kind of problem whatsoever.
I think, and you've talked about this before, but here I think the big attractor was baseball.
Baseball, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Baseball was so huge. Here's another photo that I really think is cool. Let me get this one.
One more note about this photo that you have. They're actually playing on a horse track.
That's what I thought it looked like.
That's what it looks like.
So that's what the stadium's for.
Dirt horse track. They had races during the fair, and I can't imagine dribbling a basketball.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so we can see it again. Well, I just love the old stadium. That to me is a really cool piece of that as well.
Everybody has a hat on.
And everybody has a hat on.
I love that.
Yeah.
They have a lot of the what is that model called? Your
boater of some type.
Your Stetson.
Mine?
Yeah. Is that a road? What is that one?
Yeah, open road.
That's an open road.
Open road. So a lot of
LBJ wore.
LBJ, but a lot of the straw hats though too. You see.
Oh
them
yeah,
on the
no,
left-hand
1907.
side.
Yeah, definitely
call
the wide brim straw hats.
Yeah.
I call them Dixie hats. for
Dixie,
some
yeah,
reason.
right.
They're like, well, that person has a boater. There's a couple boaters right there in
Yeah.
the foreground.
Right. This one's lovely too. This one you can still see the remnants of, I believe. Right. Here we are.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing in that the mill was built by Christian Dietert right very early on, maybe
Okay.
before the Civil War.
Okay.
And I believe I'd have to look at. But some of the see the wooden
The wooden
structure
to the left there, right?
and see the stones beneath it.
Yeah.
Those stones are still there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
We
so
just
that
are.
may be the oldest man-made structure in.
So this
Kerrville.
so the piers are still, or the footings are still in the rock, right?
Yeah, you can see on the dam to the left, the vertical pieces are cypress posts, and they cut little square holes in the riverbed,
Right.
and those are still
Interesting.
visible.
Interesting.
Now, wasn't there an ice house or something close to that?
Yeah, the ice they produced ice up high up in the brown part of the part on the left was the ice house.
Okay.
But they also saw lumber, they milled grain, they made shingles.
They did it all.
And they even generated a little electricity. And the electricity was generated from a certain point of time to a certain point of time
Yeah.
in the evening, unless Captain Schreiner's daughters had a party, and then it was
Then it was there.
So the party was
Then it
over.
was there.
Priorities.
Right. The when did electricity come fully to Kerrville? What year was the whole city electrified? Do you know?
it's still not completely electrified.
Or have reliable internet service thanks to Spectrum? So,
I don't know the answer to that. It's probably in the 1910s. Probably.
yeah. Right. Well, because the story was that LBJ really was one of the ones that.
Well, not here. I
not
mean,
here,
he was
but,
up.
but
The canyon
there
lake,
were
the
there were
Lake
parts
Summit
of
Canyon
the hill
lake
country that didn't have service at all until the
Correct.
20s or 30s, right? I
Correct.
mean, it's crazy.
We were part of the LCRA system when I was a child, and that would have been something that Johnson and others helped start.
Right. Another shot, though, where we're talking about electricity, and you see it right here. There it is. This is the St. Charles.
St. Charles Hotel. Do not park on that property.
Do not park on that property.
Right, yeah.
Oh, is that interesting? Yeah.
That's the corner of Water and Sidney Baker.
Wow.
Currently a off-limits parking
garage. Yes.
No, not parking garage.
Parking lot.
Yes.
Lot, yeah.
Right.
And I think, and I say this in the column, I think the power pole that we see in front of the hotel, I think that was added for effect. In other words, I think it made us look modern
Right.
to have power poles, but I don't. Other pictures of that hotel, there is no power pole there.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
I think it may have been added in.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a pretty good beefy looking pole there. Yeah.
The power goes to the pole. You see some lines going to the pole,
Right.
but you don't see them actually
No.
going to the hotel.
No.
Well, was that well, that's definitely a power because there's a transformer on there too. But I guess maybe the top might be.
It could be a bird nest or something. I don't know.
It could be a gigantic wasp pit. I guess the top could be telephone lines too. You would have had.
They did have telephone fairly early.
Yeah. Right. There you go. Okay, so but this hotel was there for how? When did it get torn down?
In the 40s,
By the Petersons.
the lumber was sold to Schreiner University.
Okay.
Back then, Schreiner Institute, and they used the lumber to make dorms.
Okay, so it has are those dorms still around, or are they?
No, they're gone.
No, they're gone now. Okay. All right.
And the hotel was enlarged after this shot to 3 stories. It was stuccoed. It had an annex in the back, so it got to be fairly large.
Yeah. Right.
Why was it tore down? Was it just so old and?
Well, there were
They're going to
two
build a
reasons.
hospital.
The Blue Bonnet Hotel was built, which was modern, and this one was kind of 1800s.
Yeah.
And the other reason is the Blue Bonnet Hotel people bought this one and decided not to operate it anymore. They kind of bought out their competition.
They kind of bought
It looked like a beautiful.
It was
Say,
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
a shame.
Right. Is the Blue Bonnet the one that you kind of which of all the buildings torn down, during different periods of time, isn't the Blue Bonnet one of the ones like, oh, shucks, that could have been great if we would have had it today.
The problem with the Bluebonnet, it was built in 1920. It was built the same year as the Arcadia.
Yeah.
It didn't have air conditioning.
That's weird. And no ability to put it in.
And there was no real space between the
Couldn't
enough room
retrofit
to
it.
run the
Right.
ducts. Because when it was built in the 20s, you didn't expect air conditioning. You didn't. It wasn't a thing. And so it had like, it's kind of funny. The doors to the hotel rooms had louvers in them.
Right.
And they would draw the air through the windows.
Yeah.
Through a big attic fan, I guess. But that would also mean you had little privacy in your room.
Or a little privacy in your room. And nothing must be more charming than like, July in Kerrville, the top mid-level floors, nice and warm,
Well, every room had windows.
Had windows, yeah.
The exposure to
Yeah,
a window. But,
right.
and when I was growing up, the Bluemont was still there. It was torn down in the early 70s, and I was born in the early 60s. And there were little old ladies that lived there. It was like a rooming place. And we quickly learned which little old ladies would give you candy or cookies for a visit.
Oh, nice.
We were there all the time.
All the time. What's fascinating about Texas in this period too is that like every community had to have some kind of like skyscraper of some kind. Either how big was the Bluebonnet? Eight stories. That's a pretty beefy.
That's even taller than the hospital's only 7.
Yeah, so it was taller. It would still be the tallest building. So we could say it's probably the tallest thing ever built here in Kerrville. Yep. So every community, like that's something I love about when you drive through Texas. You're like, oh wow, there's like a 10-story building.
Like the Baker.
Yeah.
In Mineral Wells, the Baker Hotel.
No, I've not seen that one.
Oh,
so.
yes.
You haven't?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Humongous.
The Baker is amazing.
Yeah.
Mineral Wells was a hub of celebrities
Right.
would go there to do the mineral baths and stuff in the 30s and 40s. And the Baker Hotel, I don't know how many stories it is. 12, 15,
That's
something
where
like that.
Crazy Water comes from.
Yes, if you've seen the Crazy Water at
Crazy
HEB, that comes from there. But they're actually restoring the Baker. The Baker was built in the late teens.
Yeah.
And it's astounding. But
Right.
they are in the middle of restoring it, which is awesome. But yeah, there's nothing in Mineral Wells, and then the Baker just shoots up out of nowhere.
It's like when you go to Amarillo, and there's they have that one like 30-some stories, just is huge, and then there's other big buildings there too, which speaks to its sort of past economically. But it seems like every you go to Waco, the Alico buildings there,
Right downtown, and then San Angelo has the Cactus Hotel.
Yeah, I think Abilene has some kind of big hotel too.
I think so, too.
So I mean, kind of a different time, different era as well. So, but the column is in this week, and the man who collected these, what was his name again? Appelt?
The publisher was a guy named Charles A. Pelt,
Yeah.
and almost every one of them has mistakes on it.
Oh, really? Yeah, some kind of like
I think he was in a hurry.
he was in a hurry. He was in a
Got a
hurry.
deadline.
He was in a hurry to get in there and make some money.
I don't know the connection, but there was an A. Pelt family in Comfort who had an armadillo farm and made
Oh, that's right.
curios out of armadillo shells.
Oh, that smelled like.
It smelled like armadillo.
Right. It smelled terrible. It smelled terrible. But yeah, the column will be in tomorrow's edition of The Lead. This is for subscribers only. So if you want to subscribe today, it's only $10 a month. And, this is one of the things we've had some good ones too. The photos of the jewelry guys.
They were good.
Those were great. Those were terrific. I really enjoyed that piece as well. And then the CCC thing.
A lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
That our park, what was Kerrville State Park, was built by the CCC.
And that time in Texas, though, the investment in the CCC, which you think of more of being a West Coast kind of thing, or the WPA, which built the river walk in San Antonio, you don't think about their outsized impact.
They saved families.
Yeah, they really
Not only did the men in the CCC send money home, they were required to send money home.
Yeah.
But they also, many of them became healthy because they suddenly had food, they had shelter,
Right.
they had physical activity, and when they went home, people almost didn't recognize them because they were suddenly
fit.
fit.
Yeah, they've been working all summer. Yeah. And my grandmother's brother, who ultimately lost his life in World War II, that saved him.
Oh yeah.
Was being in the CCC and doing that sort of labor and stuff. So
And we get the benefit of what they built. Some of the
Right.
places that are most treasured in Texas were built by the
Right.
CCC.
But we don't want to have that now. Can't have it now. Socialism, Joe. Come on.
Different
man.
time.
Come on, Joe. Don't.
We're not veering into politics today.
Sorry. What? How many stories are out there that you haven't told yet? You think? I mean, there's so many stories that you've dug into through your column.
Well, people bring me things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times the story that I've written about that week is from something that someone brought me that week. And I especially love photographs.
Yeah.
And if you have some Kerrville photographs, I can scan them and give you back the originals.
Right.
But there's all sorts of things that people have brought.
Yeah.
Some of them are quite heavy.
Does Joe 3 approve of everything?
He does not.
He does not approve of everything. Okay.
Nor does Carolyn.
Nor does Carolyn. So as long as you keep it to the shop, it's okay.
I cannot bring anything home.
Can't bring anything home. Good deal. All right, everybody. Thanks everybody for being here. What did you learn today, Amy Goodyear?
Oh gosh, I was just thinking that I think it's really funny that they used to call us West Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just stuck it out in my head. That's pretty funny. I like it.
Chad, what did you learn today?
I learned that Kerrville was, a city with a small town attitude even back then.
Oh, yeah.
With the,
right.
the stadium and horse track and all that.
Yeah. And Joe, did you learn anything?
I learned that I should not be late. I apologize for
No,
that.
that's all right. No, you're good. All right, thanks everybody for being here on a Wednesday morning. Tomorrow, Bill Raleigh will be here from Shiner University. Leslie will be back in studio. Bill Raleigh will be talking about Shriner football and their search for a head coach. I talked to Bill last week, and he said that 2025 they will be fielding a team in some capacity. It might be a JV team, and then in 2026. Full-on varsity schedule.
About 100 years after the first one.
About 100 years after the first one. But at least 100 people have applied
Oh, good.
Wow.
for the position.
Good.
So for those who want to build a legacy, it could be a really great job. So we'll talk to Bill tomorrow. And with that, we are done for the day. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.